Hi, I'm Lucy Willows from the UK Enterprise team at Epidemic Sound, and I'm here at Cannes 2026 with Oyin Akiniyi, the Global Brand Director from Chivas Regal. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Very well. How are you?
Very well, very hot.
Very hot.
But good. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining me today.
No
I've got a couple
problems.
of kind of quick fire questions to start us off. So, question one. One word that describes where the Chivas brand is right now.
I think one word to describe Chivas in general is success. And I would like to say we're in a new era of success, one defined by sports, one defined by partnerships, and one mainly defined by community.
Amazing. Thank you. Question three. Whiskey neat on the rocks or in a cocktail?
Anyone who knows me knows I like everything with bubbles. So it has to be whiskey in a cocktail. My favorite cocktail is what we call like a Chivas 75. Ooh. It's a twist on the original 75. And so Chivas with a little bit bubbles. That's my favorite.
That sounds great. I'd love to try that. Thank you. Chivas Regal has been around for over 200 years, but the brand feels very present and culturally plugged in right now. What's the strategic ambition behind where you're taking the brand creatively?
Well, I think any brand now has to have a level of cultural relevance. And for us, it's really about tapping into communities. And that's why the sports partnerships are so important for us, because it gives the opportunity to build with these amazing brands, whether it's your Arsenal FC or your Ferrari, and use those brands as a way to reach new audiences, new communities, people who love the sport, but also love what's happening around the sport. And that's, for me, super exciting. As somebody who's not like an avid sports person, I'm much more into the glamour, the glitz, everything around it. And that's where, for us, we want to really tap in and add value in that space.
Amazing. And how do you balance protecting the equity of the heritage brand while pushing it into new cultural spaces?
I think, honestly, you have to be clear on your brand DNA. Who is your brand? What does it stand for? What are its values? What does it feel like? What does it look like? That has to be already built before you can then engage in partnerships or start to like build with other communities, because what makes you special, your unique DNA, is what you need to hold on to as you build partnerships with other people.
Yeah, perfect. And according to our Fresh Brand Report, 90% of brands say that they feel pressure to use AI in their content, but 72% say human created content is becoming a premium precisely because of that. For a brand like Chivas, built on craft and heritage, how do you navigate that? And does AI belong into your workflow?
I think any brand who doesn't kind of adapt to the kind of AI world will be losing out. AI offers so many opportunities, from on one side automation, to the other side of creativity, and every brand needs to be, I suppose, considered with what works for their consumers. And we're in an era of kind of testing and learning, so we do use AI. We use it a lot in social media, test and learn, see what works, and to really give fans something that's quite unique and different. And we see how they react. If they don't like it, then we don't do it. But if they love it, then we continue to do it. So it's very much figuring out what works for our consumers. And that's our starting point.
The partnership between Chivas Regal and Ferrari and the work with Charles Leclerc is a great example of brand building in a high attention cultural space. What does a partnership like that unlock that a campaign simply can't?
You know what I love the most is the season. When you have partnerships, whether it's Ferrari or Arsenal, you tap into a conversation that's already existing. And what you can do is tap into that conversation and give something different, give something heightened. So for Arsenal, at the end of the season, they won a premiership, and we were there and we were ready. And so we introduced our 22-year-old bottle as a kind of celebration and homage to the team, to the fans who've been on this journey with them. So that, you can't do that for an ad campaign. You can't do that. You can't be reactive. You can't tap into those moments that fans are part of through a beautifully crafted 30-second ad. You need to kind of be in it with them. And those partnerships really offer us a chance to be in a conversation and add value to that conversation.
And when working with creators and influencers, the visual brief tends to be really detailed, tone, palette, how the product shows up, etc. but sound is often being forgotten. And our research shows 75% of brands says music can make or break content performance. So how much direction does Chivas give on sound, or is that something you largely leave up to the influencers?
No, sound is so interesting because it's so subjective.
Yeah.
And internally, there's so many different people who have different opinions. And you can't even imagine the number of conversations we have about sound and music in particular. And we have quite a distinctive point of view on it. So our first part, again, back to having your own brand through its DNA, that is the foundation. But then we work closely with our influencers. And when we're picking them for aesthetic, we're picking them for their vibe, for their values, for their sound.
Yeah.
And actually, sometimes we find that they have better sound than we even know. So we tend to like use them as well. So if they have like a sound that they use on our track, we'd be like, oh, that's great for the content. Let's take that. Yeah. So it's really a kind of symbiotic relationship where we have our point of view, but we're always really open to their sound, because a creator in Latam and a creator in Nigeria probably going to have very different sounds, and that's okay. The thread is Chivas. The thread is Chivas is maximalism. The thread is Chivas is kind of over the top, gold, opulence. That's the thread, and their sound really should add to it, but we really lean in on who they are to help us with that direction.
Amazing. But is there a risk that when 20 different creators pick their own sound, the brand starts to sound like 20 different brands?
I think that's why it comes to the selection of who you're working with in the first place, to pick people who really align with your brand, your aesthetics, your codes, your signals is the first instance. Then after that, it's okay. If they already kind of align with it, to a degree, there's going to be an element of not a sameness, but something that's connected.
Yes. And
so even if it's not exactly the same, there's an element of connectedness. So you look at any Chivas creator, for the most part, you can tell that they belong in the Chivas world, and vice versa, Chivas belongs in their world. So even if they are Brazilian and have Brazilian sound, and maybe they're Chinese and have a Chinese point of view, it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because they've already kind of gone through the Chivas filter, so they already feel like a Chivas person, basically.
Amazing. Thank you. And then just to end on some questions about you and your career, name a moment in your career that fundamentally changed how you think about brand building.
Can I name two?
Of course you can.
I started my career a very long time ago. I'm not going to say when. And I used to work for this organization called Liberty. And this was early in my career. I think I was probably just at 21, straight out of uni. And it was quite a maverick creative agency. It didn't have the typical accounts, strategy, or creative department. We all kind of like meshed into one. And actually, I think the work we did back then, we would call that now like creator marketing, but it was like a long time ago. And so that was really early with the power of community, the power of voices, trusted voices, to be your kind of champions, your ambassador, your voice of the brand. So it kind of unlocked something in me in terms of understanding the power of people, and the power of people to be a trusted voice for other, to be an advocate. So that was the first kind of like unlock. Second was when I used to work at Nike. I used to work at Nike, and we had a brand or platform called the Girl Effect. And the Girl Effect was really about using the power of brand to behavior change. So again, that really cemented the importance of having a brand purpose, having a brand North Star, and how transformational brands can be in people's lives. So that kind of fundamentally shifted kind of how I understand brand building. And I understand that it can have such a powerful impact in people's lives. And so that's why I love the work that we're in and what we do.
Absolutely amazing. And last question, what's the problem you're most eager to solve in your role right now?
We're talking about this for the whole week that I've been here. Well, it's only Monday. Community. I'm obsessed with the idea of community. Not in this sense of, people often think community, they think niche, they think these small pockets of people. I think community, I think your social media followers, your social media reach, every single one of those impressions or that reach is a human being, is a person. How do you talk to that person? How do you engage that person? How do you make that person an advocate for you? Talk about you when you're not in the room. And that is what weighs heavily on my mind, is converting what we understand as social media into real relevancy, into real advocacy, into people who really care about your brand and will talk about you when you're not in the room. So yeah, that's on my mind all the time.
I love that. Amazing. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.